Hey you guys, hello, happy Friday, just got paid Friday night, thank God it's Friday. I used to go to a meeting, true story, a 12-step meeting called Just Got Paid, and then it was on Friday nights, and then I went to another 12-step meeting and it was called Thank God It's Friday. That's kind of funny. I used to also go to a meeting called Hope in the Hood. It was one of my very first meetings I used to go to regularly. 12-step meetings have funny names sometimes. I went to my home group meeting for a long time was called Surrender to Win. It doesn't exist anymore. But anyway, how are you guys? I've had a good day today. I got a long night's sleep last night because I went to bed a little bit early. And, earlier than I usually go to bed. And I slept till like 11:30 today. I got like almost 8 hours of sleep. And I slept till like 11:30. And then I got up and I had meetings all day today for projects that I'm going to be doing this month, at the end of this month. Ugh, my sweater is all bunching up. I threw this sweater on at the last minute because I was like off and on sleeping in bed. Alex, got home like 11:45. He does contractual work with for his best friend, and not his best friend in LA, his best friend here. He has two best friends. He has an East Coast and a West Coast best friend. But anyway, he does contractual work with her, and they were working on an advertisement that's going in a magazine. So they got pad thai, and is that how you pronounce it? And they were working on it. So, like 5 hours of putting this ad together, but it looked pretty amazing. So anyway, let's see. I did that today, and then I came home and I fed the dogs, and I made I fed the dogs afterwards, and then I made my videos, then I fed the dogs, and then I went and got Tanya because she wanted to get a fountain coke, and we drove around. We were so tired though. I was like, I think I'm gonna go home and just rest for a little bit. And she's like, yeah, I'm really tired too. She had taken a bath right before I picked her up. So she was like, I'm gonna go home and go to bed. So I took her home, and then I went home, and that was like 9:30. And I laid down, and Alex got home at like 11:45, I think. And I just kind of laid there with the dogs. I was gonna read, and then I kind of just drifted in and out. And I used to have such a hard time just sitting and relaxing. And I've been really practicing a lot lately, just relaxing and staying in the moment and those kinds of things. So, and tomorrow I have one meeting at 1 in the afternoon, and then I don't have anything the rest of the day. And it's a follow-up meeting from something that I had earlier in the week. So, and then this weekend we were just talking, we don't have a lot of plans. We're going to catch up on our TV shows because we haven't watched Versace. We haven't watched RuPaul's Drag Race, which was on tonight. So don't tell me what happened. And what's the other show that we have? We have one other show. And then I have 60 Days In and Undercover High. Alex and I have a third show, though. What's the third show? Third or fourth show? I feel like we have 2 more shows on top of that. Project Runway All-Stars. What's the fourth show? I can't remember what the fourth show is. But anyway, so we might just hang out at the house. And then Sunday we have the Valentine's Day bingo fundraiser that Melissa does every year for her dog rescue. And I'm excited about that. All of our friends go to that, so that'll be real fun. And yeah, I think that's about it. I'm actually going to buy, so many people commented in the comment section about that t-shirt. If she's selling them that day, I'm going to get one. One of those shirts that say, get your fucking dog fixed. I like those t-shirts. Reminds me of Price is Right when he would say, spay and neuter your pets at the end of it, every show. So, that was my day today. I read a little bit and relaxed. I'm listening to that book, The Magical Art of Tidying Up. I have to be really honest, I don't like it. And I don't know if I don't like it because it challenges my belief system, and so she says in there, so if you guys don't know what it's about decluttering your life. And I'm actually going to talk about something long here in a second, so we'll get to that in just a minute. But because somebody asked me to talk about something. I thought it was a good idea. I don't know. I just like, I'm not opposed to like getting rid of stuff, but like, here's the thing. Like, my weight has fluctuated so much in my life that if I were to throw out things right now that I haven't worn in a year, I would be really upset if I lost the weight again, that I didn't have it to wear. Because I've worn shirts like, you know, when I've been thin, that I wore like back when I was in college, because a lot of my clothes are like vintage clothes. I mean, not since I've been on YouTube. You guys haven't really ever seen me be that way, which I guess is pretty telling. But so, you know, like for me, throwing out clothes, I don't get that. Throwing out books, like I really struggle with like throwing out books if I'm not reading them. And for a couple reasons. One, because I'm a booktuber, so I reference books a lot. So even though I haven't read a book, and even though it's a book that doesn't mean a lot to me, for example, like It by Stephen King, like I might bring it down and reference it as like the heaviest book in my bookshelf, because in book tags, a lot of times we get asked questions like that. So it would be hard for me to throw out books that don't mean anything to me, like even Stephen King's It, which I've never even read, you know, just because I think, oh, well, that might serve a purpose and I paid some money for it. But other than that, like the way that she talks about like categorizing things and then going by category, not by room, I do agree with all of that. But like clothes and books are like the two things that I really struggled with. I don't know. We already fold our clothes the way that she said. The only reason I don't keep my clothes in drawers is because Alex has all the drawers in our house, so like in our bedroom. So I have like these built-in shelves, but I have my clothes folded the way that she says in there. And I actually did that because Alex worked retail for years. And so he showed me, like when we moved in together, like how to fold clothes. He packs the same way. My husband, and this is kind of feeding into the next thing, my husband can pack like nobody's business. He has like this little Louis Vuitton duffel bag that he can carry on a plane with him and have everything in there that he needs for like 5 to 7 days. He's like an incredible packer. So, you know, I don't know. I have to listen to the whole book. He really likes it. Alex is like ready to get rid of everything in the house. I think as far as my basement, it will really help though too. So, I mean, I do have a lot of books down there. I have probably 20 boxes of books in the basement that just need to all go. I like the idea. She talks in there a lot about picking up an item, you know, like this chapstick, and saying, can I discard this or do I need to keep it? Do I have some kind of like attachment to this? Will I use it later? Oh, okay, I can discard this and then throw that away. And that's what you're supposed to do with like each item. I like that. I like that kind of attitude towards like, you know, instead of like, oh, push this over here and push this over here and whatever. But I feel like I kind of do that anyway. I don't know. So I'm going to listen to the whole book. I'm about halfway through right now. The other thing, and this is going to sound really weird, and you guys know like I don't ever criticize books. So if you like this book, I apologize. I'm glad that you loved it. But if you listen to the audiobook, she almost comes across as, first of all, I would never recommend this book as an audiobook, okay? Like, it's really, I think it's one book that has to be read, not listened to, because you miss a lot of it, I think, listening to it. But she comes across as rather arrogant in the book. I don't know, it kind of turns me off a little bit listening to it. But that's because most of the self-help books that I read, I feel like, are from people that like are so their language is so compassionate. And it's not that she's not, it's just that she comes across very much as kind of like a know-it-all. I just don't love the book. I just don't. I don't know why, what it is about the book, but maybe it's that I just don't want to clean anything. But that's not it either. I love living in clean places. So that's what I've been listening to on audio. Okay, so last night, Candace, hey Candace, sent me a Snapchat. I think it was last night or the night before. Last night was when I answered all my snaps, so it could have been from like 4 days ago. Candace said that she listens to my vlogs, and I think Candace, she's followed me for a long time. We've Snapchatted back and forth before. She said, so follow me on Snapchat, send me messages if you want. It takes me a while to get back these days, but I try to at least answer everybody. If you send me a Snapchat that's like specifically to me, if it's like you putting on lipstick and I have no clue if it's for me or not, I probably won't respond. But if you say in like a message like, hey Peter, how are you, or something, typically I'll send a blue heart, or sometimes like if I have a lot of time I'll send messages. It just kind of depends. Stupid hat. So anyway, Candace sent me a message, and she said that she's never really planned a vacation before, and she was listening to me talk about going to Florida, and she was wanting to plan a vacation, and she was like wanting to know how to plan a vacation. And I thought, oh, this is like actually a really good, this would be a good thing for me to talk about on my vlog, because we go on a lot of vacations, and I feel like there's kind of an art with it. But speaking of arrogant people, I don't know that I have that art figured out, but I do have some tips that I use. So, first of all, let me just tell you this. Something that I would never have done, that Alex did last year, and it was so bizarre to me, was when we went to Mexico last year, and we stayed at the hotel that we stayed at there, the resort in Playa del Carmen, which if you haven't watched those vlogs, go back. It's the week, it would have been like 2017, and it's like the June 23rd. Okay, so we were there for my birthday, which was the 29th. So it's like the 29th, 2 days before that, 2 days after vlogs. We were there for 6 nights. It was so fantastic. It was one of the most beautiful resorts I've ever been to in my entire life, and I've traveled a lot through like Mexico and the Caribbean with my dad, and stayed at some pretty nice places, and this was an all-inclusive. Our prices were unbelievable. Alex he booked the whole thing. He got unbelievable prices for it. We found out when we were there, it had just been open for 2 months. People were bragging about like the prices that they got at the resort and for airfare and stuff, and we were like a third of what they paid for. And Alex booked the whole thing through a travel agency. Now, when he told me that he was going to use a travel agency because some of the girls that he works with use travel agencies, I was like, do people really use travel agencies in 2018? It was such a weird concept to me, you know? I was like, I don't know that I really believe in all that, but Alex had never really like planned a trip for us before, so I thought, just let him do it, you know, go along with the flow. Plus, it's really good for me not to be in like a control mode, because as being an addict and an alcoholic, I always want to control every aspect of everything. So I thought, Peter, just go into this. He did it for my birthday, so he was like, he really wanted to plan it for my birthday, and so, you know, he said, just let me do this. I was like, okay, so just Peter, relax, just go along for the ride, everything will be fine. So, plus the other thing you have to know about my husband is that he has traveled a lot, and I mean, we've both traveled a lot, but to different places, and so he has a very relaxed view of traveling, and I almost kind of think maybe it's because he originally came from another country, and so he's done a lot of international traveling. But like, whenever I'm worried about like getting to the airport on time, or we're gonna miss our flight, or anything, he is never like that. Losing a bag, we'll get stuff when we get there if our bags are lost. I mean, he never worries about anything traveling. And so he called his travel agency, and she gave him like 3 options of different resorts, and then told him which one that she would go with. And so he showed me which ones, and I said, hey, you pick it, you do what you want to do. So he picked the one that we went to. It was fantastic. I don't think he paid the travel agent anything. I think she got a cut of the package because we went through her, is how it worked. That being said, I would definitely use a travel agent in the future. And if somebody's interested in knowing who the travel agent is that we worked through, I can find out from Alex and let you know that information. I'm sure they're local to Indianapolis, but they probably can book somebody anywhere. I was so impressed, okay? So we were trying to see on the way there. A lot of times Alex and I, so if you don't know this, when you get to the airport, I'm kind of all over the place with this, but like if you're gonna take a long flight or whatever, sometimes at check-in, you can see how much it is to upgrade to first class. Well, when we went to Vegas for our wedding, we did it, and we looked, and because I think Vegas is like a 4-hour direct flight from Indianapolis, 4.5, something like that, 5 hours, and we looked, and it was like $45 a person at check-in to upgrade to first class both ways. And so we were like, yeah, let's do that. So we did it, and so we were flying this airline. I don't even remember what it was. I was so sketched out. I was like looking online for what this airline was called the night before, and I couldn't find anything about it, and I was so scared, right? So we get to the airport, and there's no like window for this airline, and finally, they like put up this placard. Like, I guess they're never really there very often. They put up this placard, and it said their name, and then I can't even remember what they were called. Anyway, we went to go like check in, and Alex was like, do you guys have like first class upgrades? And they were like, I don't want y'all to think we're bougie and we pay out the ass for first class, okay? I'm telling you right now, if it was over $100, we wouldn't do it. But when it's a long flight, sometimes we do, you know, if we have extra money or whatever at the time. But we would never do it if it's other than that. We're fine, you know, flying in coach. But anyway, he gets mad even when I check a bag. I'm like, I'm checking a bag. I can't pack that. I can't pack in a duffel bag like you can. I wish I could, but... So anyway, we get there, and he's like, do you guys, oh, first of all, all of them speak Spanish. They don't speak any English. And so he's speaking them in Spanish, and so when we walk away, I said, what did you ask him? And he has like this worried look on his face. And I said, because they looked very confused, and I said, what were you asking them? And he said, I was asking them if they had first class to upgrade to, and they're like, no, there's no first class on this plane. It's like, it's basically, it was just sketch. It kind of was very sketchy. Well, I was so worried. I did not want to get on this plane, right? So we get there. Not only that, but at the Indianapolis International Airport, you don't ever like go down to the ground and then walk up on the plane. That just doesn't happen. Well, we did it, and I was like, oh my Lord, like this scares me. So we get on this plane. Somebody will know what airline I'm talking about, but all of them, the men wore like gray pants and vests and like navy blue shirts, and they were all Latino that worked on it. I mean, to tell you, the pilots and the flight attendants were all gorgeous men and women. I have never seen a more beautiful, and this is not just because my husband's Latino and I think Latino people are beautiful, but I have never in my life seen a more gorgeous crew on a plane in my life, from pilot to anything, okay? And the women had on these, like, it wasn't even like a purple, it was like this deep, like lavender, like deep mahogany purple. I don't know how to explain it. It was gorgeous. And dresses, like blouses with these navy blue skirts. It was such a classy outfit. It was such a throwback to the old days of flying on a plane, like in the 60s, I guess. Like, I wasn't here for that, but you know. And they had these little hats that sat sideways off their head that were navy blue. I was like, I'm kind of living for this. The flight was fantastic. It was some of the best service I have ever had on a flight in my entire life. They were so friendly. Everything, the whole plane was coach, and they treated you like you were first class. I was so impressed with this flight and this airline. I could not believe it. We flew direct from Indianapolis to Mexico, to Cancun, which is like almost impossible to do. And then we took a shuttle. Like, we ran out there, and that was really easy too. Like, finding a shuttle. Like, we were supposed to go with, like, the hotel was going to send a shuttle, but I think like they sent one like every 2 hours, and we would have had to wait. So Alex and I were like, we'll just pay. And it was like $20 for both of us, and it was like a 45-minute drive, but it was very nice. And you got to see all the countryside of, you know, that area of Mexico, which is some of it pretty and some of it kind of scary, sketchy, you know what I mean? Like, you're going through really small towns, and there's a lot of towns that you go through where they're holding up like machine guns and, you know, for like, what's it called? You go through like roadblocks. And, but anyway, it's cool to see. I love seeing anything culturally different, you know, and especially traveling with my husband who speaks Spanish, you know, as a first language. I don't ever feel that afraid going to other, you know, countries where they speak Spanish as well, because I know that, like, he can, you know where we're going and what we're doing. So anyway, when we get to the resort, we go into this resort, and I was like, Alex, this place is unbelievable. This looks like a Four Seasons. I could not believe it. I mean, it looked like a Four Seasons in, you know, Costa Rica or something. It was gorgeous. Which is a beautiful hotel, by the way. But he did that all through the travel agent. And so now he's like, all he wants to do is travel agencies. But when we book like smaller trips, like we go to Miami and stuff like that, I always just do Expedia. I used to use Booking.com. Sometimes I would check the prices against them. But Booking.com has like I don't know, like they've changed their whole system and I don't like it anymore. I don't really understand it. It doesn't make any sense to me. So I always use Expedia, and I always do the bundle packages because you get more money off of them. Number one, when you fly and you book a hotel through Expedia. The other thing is that it's like, you know, going through a cafeteria line. You just pick and choose what you want. If you do it, sign up for Expedia because you get the Expedia points and they're really valuable down the road. We've used our Expedia points a lot. So just sign up for Expedia right away. And so what I do is, like, when we're going into a trip for Miami, well, first we obviously pick the destination of where we want to go. Recently, like, you know, Miami we go for Ultra Music Festival, but we're really trying to go to some different places that we've never been to before. You know, that's one of the things that Alex and I want to do a lot. And so, like, let's just say if we said that we were going to go to Seattle, okay? So I would look, number one, when you go in there, I think on Expedia, on Expedia you pick the hotel first. So I always go up to the top and I filter, you can filter it out by whatever you want. Like if you need a balcony, like there are things for me that are important to have in a hotel room. I want to have a balcony if I'm in Florida, you know, I'd like to have beach view. Maybe that's not important to you. Maybe you'd rather have city view. It doesn't matter, you know? If that stuff doesn't matter to you, you can get way cheaper rooms, stuff like that. But I always go up to the top and I do like star guest, it's like guest rating, I think is what it is. And so then you get like, it will put at the top like the best hotel that guests have rated on Expedia. Typically, they're the most expensive, high-end, bougie hotels in that area, if that makes sense, okay? Like, I think there was this one hotel that Alex and I would love to stay at, but we could never even afford an hour in it, is $21,000 a person for 6 nights in Miami. What? No, I think that's ridiculous that anybody would ever pay that. I don't care how much money you have. But anyway, but if you go on there, like the hotel that we always stay at in Miami is called the Hotel Victor. And we love it because it's centrally located right in on Ocean Drive in Miami. It's right next to it's literally right next to the Versace mansion. It's very small. It's a boutique hotel. It's on top of a sugar factory, but we love it because you're walking distance from Lincoln Road. You're walking distance from Collins and all the clubs. You were right across the street from the beach. There's a Starbucks around the corner, and it's small. It's cute. I like it. And the pool is small. It's never super crowded at the pool, which I hate going to a pool that's crowded. So, you know, we were going to try a different hotel this year. Well, we started looking at hotels, and by the time that we booked it, because if you book early, you can get really good rates. But I don't know that I think that always matters. They'll sell out is the problem. Like, we looked, and the hotel that we're staying in is now sold out from the days that we wanted to. So we couldn't have stayed there if we hadn't booked it when we did, and we just booked it recently. So I'll start like going through all the hotels. So if I was going to Seattle, I would look through all the hotels and see the star ratings. And being that it's like a city that I've never been to before, well, first of all, I might ask some of my friends, have you ever been to Seattle? Like, where would you stay if you could stay? And I would wait until I got the friend that was like really excited about it and said, oh my God, you have to stay at ... In Louisville, Kentucky, there's a hotel down there called now I can't remember what it's called. The 21 Hotel, shoot, why can't I remember what it's called? Anyway, it's something like that. Inside, it has an art museum inside. It's very cool. Each guest room has like brick walls, and it's very artsy. And all of our friends told us, 21C Hotel. All of our friends told us to stay there. They said, you have to go. They said there's this amazing restaurant attached to it called Proof, which we went and we ate there. We've stayed there a couple times. The problem with it is, it's not by anything. I mean, it's not by anything. You can't do anything. In Louisville, if you stay at this hotel, you have to take a cab somewhere or drive somewhere. So, thank God that we know Louisville so well that when we go down there and stay, we can, go out to the clubs and stuff like that. We actually haven't done that in a really long time. We need to probably go and do that for a weekend. That's fun. But anyway, if it was like Seattle, I would ask some of my friends and I'd say like, hey, like, where's a place to stay? I probably would ask you guys, like, where's a hotel to stay in Seattle? Whatever. People that I know. Then I would look at the prices and I would see what was realistic for us to stay for that time, because we usually have a price range of what we're looking at, depending on how many days we're staying and things like that. And we usually try to keep it within a certain price range because we know what we can afford. And the other thing is that, like, if you're not doing an all-inclusive, you want to have money while you're there. So you have to figure that if you're going to stay at some place like that, you're probably looking at an extra $50 to $100 a day in food and transportation and just doing stuff. That's for real too. That's not an estimate. Like, that's real, okay? So then I would find the hotel. I'd find out the things that I wanted that it had. Like, was it located? I mean, location for me is prime. Like, I want to be somewhere where I can get to other things. You know what I mean? I don't want to be out in the middle of nowhere where I have to take a cab to everything. I love Mandalay Bay and Las Vegas, but one of the problems is it is so south on the Strip that it takes you, you get nickel and dime everywhere you go because you have to take a cab. So anyway, but we always stay at the Cosmopolitan now in Vegas because that's where we got married, and we always get really good deals there. So, and that's there's a good example. Like the Cosmopolitan, if you look on Expedia, they have, like, if you go, a lot of times on Expedia, they'll have like 40% off for the rate days you're looking at if you book it today. Like, a lot of the hotels will have like deals and rate deals that are unbelievable, and you're like, we were driving to Fort Lauderdale a couple years ago, because we used to drive it all the time, and this car is like swerving. It's like really weird back there. So anyway, we were going to go to Fort Lauderdale for 2 days and then to Miami for Ultra. That was the first year that we went to Ultra. And I really wanted to stay at the W Hotel in Fort Lauderdale. Don't. It's a waste of money. It was a junk. I did not like it. The people were rude. The hotel was rude. I would never stay at the W Hotel in Fort Lauderdale again. I've stayed at a lot of W hotels. I love them. I love the W Hotel in Lakeshore Drive in Chicago. I love the W Hotel in Miami. I've never stayed there, but I wish I could. It is way too pricey for us. I love the W Hotel. They're the W Hotel in Times Square, fantastic. It's pricey as shit too, but my ex and I were like, let's just do it while we're here, so we did. But, I really wanted to stay there. So we were driving down and I told Alex, I said, we're going to book it like on our way down there, because a lot of times you can get really good hotel deals like the day, if you're booking, like checking in that day, like the day or the day before. So I said that morning I'm going to get on and see like what's available. They might have some deals. Well, they did. They had really amazing deals for the W that day. So I booked it like right then. And I had said, like, if we can't get in there, then we can at least, get in, I think what the other place we stayed in was the Westin. And now the Westin is really nice. If it's the Westin or the Hilton, I can't remember, in Fort Lauderdale, I really like both of those. Yeah, but don't do the W in Fort Lauderdale. It's a waste of money. It's not really any different than any other hotel. The pool's kind of different. The people are rude. The people that work there are rude. We ended up having to wait like till 6 or 7 o'clock at night to get checked in after driving 20 hours. It was just bullshit. So, anyway, that's the other thing, is that I really judge hotels by how people treat you when they're there, that work there, Then the other thing I do is, once I've narrowed it down to like 2 or 3 hotels, I just did this with Miami, because we were going to stay at this hotel called the Royal Palms or something. It's like 2 blocks from where we usually stay. And I thought, well, Alex wants to try something different. This is the same rate as the Hotel Victor. Let's see what it's all about. It's supposed to be beachfront, all this kind of stuff. Well, I got on TripAdvisor. So I always go and I look on TripAdvisor, which is a website, free website you can go to, and like people leave reviews. And I went onto it, and the reviews were horrible. They were like, oh, this place is the worst. The pictures don't look anything like what it's really like. People are loud. You can hear through to the next room. The patios suck. They make it look big on the windows, but it's really small. It's not really as beachfront. I mean, it got horrible reviews. And I was like, oh, I don't want my whole trip to be ruined because we have a bad hotel room. And Alex and I are two people that, you know, when you hear people say, well, we're not really in the room that much, we're really in the room that much. So it is important to us that we have a nice hotel room. And maybe to you it's not, and that would be something that I would think about in planning a trip. I gotta stop this because it's gonna cut off here any second. Okay, so I don't even know what I was saying. So anyway, I always look at the reviews. I was looking at the reviews. I had to let my camera cool for a second. I always let the I always read the reviews, and then, like, not, you know, 100, but I read enough, and I try to pick the ones that are pretty honest, and you can tell, you know. And so I was like, I don't know that I want my trip ruined. So I talked to Alex about it. He's like, let's just book with the hotel, the Victor Hotel, because we know it's good. We'll enjoy our trip, you know, whatever. And I said, well, we could always walk down there and see if they'll let us show us a room. And then the next time that we're down here, then we could maybe stay there, right? And he was like, yeah, that's a good idea. There are a couple hotels, like the One and the Edition in Miami, that we would love to stay at, but they are so expensive. They are so expensive. And I was actually going to splurge a little bit and stay somewhere, you know, that's really nice. I mean, the place that we stay at is really nice, but it's small, and the rooms are small and things like that. But I just was like, you know, we do like a good room, but we're not going to be in our room that much. We're going to be in the pool, we're going to be on the beach, we're going to be at the music festival or whatever. So, but the other thing, and if you want to see that hotel, I vlogged that all last year, and I'll probably vlog it this year too. And it has a special meaning to us too. I don't know if you guys do that, but, like, you know, we stayed there the first year, and it was very, you know, kind of this innocent trip of us having never been, well, he'd been to Miami before, but us never being to Miami before, and going to Mango's and going to this Naked Tacos place that we love to eat at, and, you know, walking around. And it's just like the room held a lot of special memories for us. So, you know, like, and they always put us like kind of in a similar room. So I don't know, and I love that hotel. I'll stay there for the rest of my life, you know. The first year that we went, though, they didn't have a sugar factory downstairs. They had, like, just a regular little restaurant, and they had these chairs outside that you could just, these rocking chairs, just sit and watch people walk by. They should never put that sugar factory down there. I mean, I'm sure they're making a lot of money on there, and the Kardashians went there and stuff, but that sugar factory just kind of junks it up a little bit. But anyway, so I'm going to be in Miami the last week of March. If you're down there, come say hi. I'll be at Ultra Music Festival. I'll be all over. Tweet me. I'm going to be on Lincoln Road shopping. I'll be all over Collins Avenue. That's the other thing, is that there's a lot of hotels on Collins, and they back up to the beach, kind of, but they're not on the beach. And that's kind of one of our things, is that we want to be right by the beach, you know, like whenever we go somewhere. And no hotel in Miami is really right on the beach unless it's a resort, and then it's kind of like off a little bit. But and we don't like to stay in the city either, because we want to be closer. I want to be closer to South Beach. So, you know, then we look at, like, I would look at different hotels if I was going to, like, to Seattle, and I would check them up on TripAdvisor that people had told me about the places. I would look at the prices, and then I would pick, like, 2 or 3 that I thought were realistic and reasonable for our price range and that looked cool. We like to kind of stay in cool, different hotels. We like to stay in a lot of boutique hotels, which are just smaller, kind of, you know, some of them are artsy a little bit. The Public Hotel in Chicago, which is like an Ian Schrager hotel. Is that what his name is? But anyway, they're very artsy, and we like kind of artsy different hotels. And so what was I gonna say? I totally just lost my mind for a second. So then I'll look it up on TripAdvisor and see, and then I'll pick the hotel. Now, there are different times on Expedia, okay, that if you book a trip, you'll get different rates. So you have to kind of, like, look at it throughout the day. The other thing is about Expedia, this is shady shit. I don't know what this is about Expedia, but let's say if you're looking at a hotel and it says the total cost of your trip for 7 days is going to be $700, $100 a day, right? You can go back, if you do not clear your cookies and you do not reset whatever, you know, whatever it's called, search engine that you're doing it, you can go back in, and the exact same hotel 2 minutes later can be 3 times the price. I told Alex that, and he was like, that had happened, and he goes, go and reset your, like, clear your cookies and go back in. I did it, and it was the original price. I was like, what is that? And he goes, Expedia is picking up that you're searching for that hotel in that area. And he goes, did you not know that they're known for doing that? That is bullshit right there. Now, I do know a lot of people that will go on Expedia, find a price, and then book it for the hotel. The reason I don't do that is that if you do a bundle package through Expedia, you get cheaper rates. They'll take like a huge chunk off at the end, and that's typically why I do it. But you can also find these things and then book them through the hotel, book them through the airline if that makes you feel safer. I just don't care. The other thing is that Expedia offers, for not a huge rate, trip protection, that you can like cancel your whole trip like up to the minute that you get on the plane. So, you know, I mean, that's always like a nice thing to have in case something happens at the last minute. I mean, I don't think any of us want to throw away thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars on a trip, you know, that they're not going to end up going on because, you know, Aunt Judy that you haven't seen in 10 years died and you have to go to her funeral. Just saying. So anyway, let's see. Yeah, that's kind of how I book it. And then when I look at flights, I usually try to get in really early. I do not care what time we leave. I would leave at 4:30 in the morning. Obviously, you guys know I'm up at all hours of the night anyway. I cannot sleep the night before a trip. I am like a kid on Christmas Eve. I cannot, I literally cannot sleep the night before a trip. And I always pack last minute. I'll vlog it this year. I'll show you guys packing. I always pack like at 1 o'clock in the morning. Alex is asleep and he's packed 2 days before because he's like so weird about packing and getting it all done. He said something about my beard earlier. He was like, your beard looks really full. And I'm like, I just trimmed it a couple days ago, but it does look really full. I've lost like 6 pounds too. So I wonder if my beard looks bigger because I've lost a little bit of weight in my face. I'm so slender now. I think it makes me look fatter actually. But, so yeah, so then I'll always pack the night before. But then when I go in there and I look at like the flights, I always pick a flight that's early, and I try to pick a flight that has the least amount of connections. And they'll have like, Expedia will have like all these flights that are like, you know, that you don't have to add anything extra. But then they also have flights that, depending on like how many people are bidding on it, or if they don't have a lot of seats left or whatever, it might be more money. We had to pay more money this year coming back. So I think this time we fly out at like, I don't know, we get into Miami at like 1, which is that's kind of late for us. We usually get in at like 11 a.m. or like 12 p.m. and we fly out at like 5 or 6 in the morning. We usually have one stop on the way down there, and I think we have a stop there and a stop on the way back. But I like to try to get down there early in the afternoon, because then from there, you know, getting everything, getting out, you get to the hotel about 3 or 4 o'clock. For us, it'll be perfect this year because we're getting in on a Wednesday, and we always, in Miami, we always, what do you call it, get out of the plane, and then we take an Uber straight to Doji's, which is my hat right here that I got at Doji's. And Doji's, D-O-G-G-I-S, is a Venezuelan restaurant. It's a little, just small restaurant in Miami, and it is, I've been to a couple Venezuelan restaurants. It's the best Venezuelan restaurant I've ever been to in my entire life. They have Venezuelan candy there. Alex always gets a little emotional when he sees it because it reminds him of being a kid. They have Maltas. They have, the whole walls are all covered in like, you know, pop culture stuff from Venezuela. It's very cool because I get to see a side of Venezuela that I don't see all the time. The food is incredible and very cheap. So, yeah, so we go there, and then from there we take an Uber to the hotel. We have never had at the Hotel Victor any problem checking in early, ever. We could be there at 11 o'clock in the morning and they would have our room ready for us. So, but we're not going to get there now this time if we go eat first till like 3 or 4 in the afternoon, so that's perfect anyway. And then we'll probably like take a nap. Alex will watch, he's not a napper, so I'll probably take a nap and he'll watch some kind of show while we unpack and stuff. And he'll unpack, and he usually always unpacks his whole bag, and then I just leave mine in the suitcase and live out of the suitcase for the week. And then we'll go get something to eat that first night and just kind of relax, you know, and have a romantic evening. And I like to walk over to Lincoln Road. I want to go over to Lincoln Road this time and go to Lush and get a bunch of bath bombs and different things to try, because our bathtub and our bathroom at home, like, we had a leak several years ago, so we hardly ever use it, because I'm kind of terrified to use it, to be honest with you, that it'll start leaking down again. And we need to have a plumber come out there anyway and fix the garbage disposal, so I'm going to have him look at the bathtub when he comes. But the Hotel Victor has these huge bathtubs that are like real deep, and I'm gonna get bath bombs and take baths, and we might take a bath together. They also have these amazing showers that you like walk into, and they're just it's really nice bathrooms, and I love that hotel so much. So we're gonna do that and go, and you know, we always do a little shopping on Lincoln Road and eat. We usually eat over there sometimes the first night, or like depending on how tired we are, we'll just like eat like right on the strip on Ocean Drive. But we've like eaten at so many of those places now that I think like we'd really like to try some new places in Miami. So if you have some restaurants that you know that we should absolutely try, let us know. I would really be willing to venture out of just right there on South Beach to try something different. I mean, the thing is that food in Miami is so expensive anyway, and if you eat on Ocean Drive, if you guys have ever eaten like right on Ocean Drive, every one of those restaurants is so incredibly expensive. The yellow battery light is on. Why is it doing that to me? I'm gonna keep on talking until it dies, so if it dies, good night, I love you. So yeah, I mean, I'm really excited. That's how we book a trip. And I mean, if we were going to Mexico and I was going to book it, I would do it the same way. But I think going on trips like that in the future, we probably would do, what do you call it? Like maybe through a travel agent again. It really worked well for us. The other thing is that Alex is really wanting to go to Thailand, and he's been looking at these packages through this woman that he knows. She travels all over the world, and they're like these real exclusive packages, and it's like 15 days in Thailand is the one he's looking at, or something like that. And then like you don't pay for any of your meals except for like 2 days. It's all included in the total price, and you stay at some pretty exclusive hotels, and you're like on that one island, I can't remember where it's at, where all the beaches are. You're there like 4 days, because I would rather be there, but Alex wants to see all the temples and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of one of those tours. I'm really not into those kind of tour kind of things, but this is like small, max like 10 people. So it's not like you're with like 40 people, you know, on like a tour guide kind of thing. I think it's like max, like I think it said max 10 people. So we may do one of those in the next year, depending on how our money this year. We may splurge on our 10th year anniversary, or we may go back to Vegas. We haven't been to Vegas. He's been to Vegas with his best friend Sarah for her birthday, but I haven't been there since our wedding. Have I not been there since our wedding? I have not been to Vegas since our wedding. I cannot believe that. But Tanya just got back from going to Vegas too. I may go out there with her for 2 days. Alex like goes a lot. He travels a lot with his friend here, and then he travels a lot with, like, he'll go visit Sarah in LA. And I may take a little weekend trip with Tanya. We've always talked about doing it. Back in the day, we used to get a cabin in Lake Norris, Tennessee on the water with like 6 of our sober friends, and we would just boat for an entire week. It was so much fun. Play cards every night, you know, do charades, cook big meals together and all that kind of stuff. But since then, Tanya and I haven't taken any vacations together, and she takes so many vacations. She's going to Mexico next month, and she just got back from Arizona and Las Vegas. So Tanya and I have been talking about maybe either going to Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Alex really has no desire to go back to Gatlinburg, Tennessee. We went with its couples one time, and I took him down there one time, and both times he just didn't love it. It's just not his kind of vacation. So Tanya said she would go down there with me, but I really want to go down there like in the winter time when it's kind of colder and it's snowy and that kind of stuff. I think that would be fun. So I don't know, maybe maybe we'll wait and do it in like November or December, because I like to do it when all the Christmas lights are out. So maybe we'll do it next December, and we'll do like Vegas sometime this summer or something like that. Tanya's birthday is today. When you guys are watching this, it's Tanya's birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Tanya G. Happy birthday to you. It's her belly button birthday. That's what we call it in sobriety. We have our sobriety birthdays, and then we have our belly button birthday. And today is her belly button birthday. So this was the day that she was born into the earth. Did you guys watch my Peterisms video? I did a whole tribute to Tanya. And I don't know, it just got me so emotional talking about her on video, but yeah. I don't need to reap that back up again and get real emotional over again. I'm like way out in the country. I'm gonna turn around now. And I don't even know where I'm at. I like get in the interstate and I just like take random exits and then I'm like, I have no clue where I'm at. So then I have to like get back onto the interstate. There is like the semi and it is coming so fast. So I need to turn around before I get there. Can you guys see the light in the distance when I turn? You can't see it really, can you? Anyway, oh, it's way behind there. So yeah, so that's how I book a trip. And I get excited about it. I get so excited about it. I probably take too much time planning a trip, but so there you go, Candace. That's what you do. First, you need to pick your place, and then you need to figure out how much money you can spend on a trip, you know, like total, and then break it down for how much you're gonna need when you're on the trip. And then what you have left is what you can spend, you know, for airfare or a road trip. I loved a road trip, by the way. My husband hates it, but I loved a road trip. We drove to Florida 4 years in a row, and that 5th year, last year, he said, never again. I'm not doing that drive. It's 20 hours. I'm not doing it. I love it so much. There is something about driving through Florida that just inspires me as a writer. I don't know. I just come up with all kinds of book ideas when I'm driving through, you know, Georgia late at night and Florida and all that kind of stuff. Georgia is a super long state if you've never driven through it, by the way. And then I always fall asleep and then I come out of it right when we're like driving through like Longboat Key. It's like past that exit. See, like Sarasota, Longboat Key. But anyway, and then that, because Alex drives those hours. But he said, no more, we're flying. And I said, okay. And then last year I was so resistant to it. I was like, I can't believe that we don't get to take my road trip. My one road trip that I love to take every year. I can't believe it. And we flew and we're there in 4 hours. And I was like, oh my God, this is so much nicer. I will never do this road trip again. I really like flying. So you got to figure out if you want to fly, if you want to drive, how you're going to get there. Pick your hotel, pick your flight, and go and enjoy your trip. And go do it. And I always say this to couples. You know, I know so many couples that never travel. They don't even go to, like, you could go to Chicago and stay in the shittiest hotel and drive if you live close to Chicago, and the whole weekend could cost you very little. And it's a way to, like, I just feel so connected to my husband when we're on vacation because it's time away from the rest of the world. It's time that we just get to spend together. We always get along so well. We never, ever argue or have a disagreement on a vacation, ever. I don't care if we're gone 2 weeks, and we've taken 2 and 3 week vacations before. I don't care, you know, like how long we're gone. We never argue. And then we're always like, where do you want to go eat? Oh, let's go to Simply Taco. Okay, that's not, or Naked Taco. That sounds good. And we go. You know, whereas here it's like we will argue over where we're going to go eat. And on vacation, never, you know, and it's just like we get more intimate, we get closer together, we have all this time that we share stories with each other we've never shared before. I think vacations are such a vital part to relationships. I know people love taking vacations with their kids, and I think that's fantastic, but if you're parents out there, you know, take 2 trips a year with your kids and then take a short trip together as a couple alone. You deserve that time. And I just think that vacations are such an important time to reconnect. Go with your best friend. This is why I want to go with Tanya, because that's time that I'll never have with Tanya. You know, again, you know, 2 days in the mountains of Gatlinburg that we can just shoot the shit and talk. And, you know, I mean, it's a way to build relationships. Vacations are vacations away from the real world, and you can just, you know, what am I saying? It's stupid. Anyway. All right, you guys, I'm going to get off here now. I have rambled on long enough about how to plan a vacation. Don't nobody care. So anyway. I was signing off and it shut itself off because the internal heat was too high. So I just wanted to say, I turned it right back on too, so it'll probably shut right back off. I love you guys. Thank you for listening to me. Candace, I hope that was helpful. If you guys have things that you would like me to talk about in my vlogs or stories that you specifically want me to share, leave it in the comment section below. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I will talk to you later. Bye. Okay, I'm back. So this is why I said stay till the end. And the camera battery is dead, so I hope it lets me talk, because I want to say a couple things. I pulled over and I was like reading all of the comments. So just so you know, I read all the comments that I receive on all 4 of my channels every day. I kind of go throughout the day and I read 20, whatever. My main channel is hard for me to keep up with those videos or those comments because I get so many comments on there. But on my vlog, because I know so many of you, because you so consistently comment on my videos, I really read them. So The first thing I wanted to say was that there was a couple people on there that kind of said something about me seeming down or like sad, and then a couple other people said something about me being tired. I don't really talk a lot about this on here, so maybe I could devote a whole video to this if you guys were interested in it. I don't know who is, but unless you really suffer from the same thing as I do, then you probably wouldn't be sad. But so I have juvenile myoclonic epilepsy, and I have migraine disorder. Every day that I wake up, my head hurts on some level. It's been like this since I was 28 years old when I was diagnosed, 27, almost 28 years old when I was diagnosed with epilepsy. So there are just some days that I don't feel as great as others. I've kind of gotten used to it now, so I'm not even aware of it until other people say something to me, or like I read it in a comment or something like that. The other thing is that I'm on extremely high doses of Depakote, because the Depakote is the medication that I take for my bipolar disorder, for my epilepsy, which it's also used for bipolar disorder, and it can make you tired if your levels get off. And so my levels, I have to get them checked regularly, things like that, and I just get really tired really easily. It messes with my sleep schedule, which is why I kind of have this crazy all over sleep schedule. Even if I lay down at like 10 o'clock at night, I would be up at 2 o'clock in the morning. I wouldn't be able to sleep all the way through the night, and when I get up, I'm like up. So if I've seemed off in that video, I can't remember which one it was. I think it was the one where I was reading comments. I just was tired that day. There are some days, honestly, that I get up with epilepsy that I feel kind of seizure-ish, and I don't even want to get out of bed. I can't even explain it. And unless you have epilepsy, it's not something that you can explain. Because before I had it, I would never have understood it. And that's the only reason I know the point of reference, because I haven't had it my whole life. But like, there are days that I just feel shaky, I feel off. I've heard other people define vertigo. It feels very much to me similar to that at times. If you have epilepsy, you know what I mean. There are just days that you just don't feel right. And so yeah, yesterday was one of those days for me where I didn't feel right. I was tired, and I just was off, and I didn't even realize that it read on camera until, because I liked doing that video while I was reading the comments. So, but I also want to say this, and this is kind of going into the second part of what I wanted to say. But don't feel bad about saying those things to me. It's interesting for me, honestly, to see what you guys observe in my videos, if that makes sense. So when somebody says to me, hey, you seemed a little off, or you seem tired, or are you upset, or are you sad or down, like, that's interesting to me. And so I see that and I look at it, and it's really, to be honest with you, a really great observation tool for my own life, for me to look back and go, I was sitting there and I was thinking to myself, wow, if other people picked up on it on video, like, I must have been, I need to be a little bit more aware personally of how I am on a daily basis, not because of how it appears on video, because to be honest with you, I don't really give a shit about that. But, like, is that a day that I need to be physically taking better care of myself, if that makes sense? Which is why somebody else mentioned I've been drinking a lot of water lately. I've been taking more naps recently. If you've noticed in my vlogs, I've said that, like, I've gone to sleep with Alex and I'll sleep for 2 or 3 hours and then I'll get up and I'll vlog. That's why, because I'm tired a lot. So the other day, there was a day, I talked about it on my Peterisms channel, I took like 2 naps in a day, and I really took care of myself that day, and I had to kind of like realign, and I wasn't feeling good. Sometimes, like, at the end of the month or at the beginning of the month, I think my medication, like, kind of overlaps, and those are days that I just don't feel real great. But I will tell you what's interesting about this is that they're usually followed by days that I feel really, really good, and like the last 2 or 3 days, I felt off. So what I know is that this weekend, I will feel really good. And what I mean by that is it's kind of hard to explain. It's like I feel very clear-headed. I feel almost kind of like, I don't want to say high, because that's not what I mean, but like just very clear-headed and happy, in a really good mood. So, but thank you guys for those observations. I like reading those comments and seeing what people have to say about what they pick up on, whether it's that you guys loved Tucker. I don't show him in videos a lot because Tucker doesn't really, it's not like I know that he wants to be in videos. It's just when I go to pick him up, he runs. Or if I put him in the chair for a video, he jumps down. Unlike Boo and Pee Pee, who, like, they just sit there the whole time. They like being in the videos. Every video that I ever do in that chair, Pee Pee is always to my left. So I I struggle a lot with PP's health because I kind of don't really know how I will continue to do YouTube when PP's not sitting to my left every video, but I'm not going to get emotional about that tonight. The other thing with the medication, I know that eventually I'm going to have to force it down his mouth. Alex is going to have to do that at that point. I struggle doing that. I had to do it with my dog that was aggressive, and so I have some fear associated with that, even though I know PP wouldn't bite me. He's never bit me or anybody ever. But it's just a response to that. Because of the kind of medication he has, that it is elapsed, it's time release, we can't split it up. So a lot of people suggested that, and I had asked that to Tanya, and then Tanya was like, you need to find out. And so I found out, and we cannot grind up his medication. So 2 of them we could, but the 2 that we can are so small that he eats them and he doesn't notice them at all. Okay, but the thing that I really wanted to talk about on here, the most important thing was, I think it was Marta, gave me some critiques for my main channel, and I'm almost positive it was Marta. If it wasn't Marta, she was in there was like 7 or 8 comments in there. And the comment was that people felt like I had changed on my main channel, and they were speculating whether or not it was to do with what happened at Christmas time, with the videos that went out about me. And they were saying that they really missed my kind of I don't give a fuck attitude. Honest to God, I did not even realize, like every once in a blue moon on my main channel, I'll get a comment that will say like, you've changed, but that's all they'll say. So this was different. This was like a conversation that people were having, and it was eye-opening to me. The one thing I want to say is this, okay? Even on my main channel, I try to keep it nice and kind, but the comment section gets a little ugly. On my vlog, that is really all of you that have chosen to be engaged in my life on a daily basis. I feel so blessed about that. I have talked about that, non-stop on my videos, how much you guys mean to me. There's not really anything that you could say that would really hurt me, okay? I am somebody in life, not just on YouTube, that is very open to criticism. I'm very open to constructive criticism, that maybe you should take a look at your diet this way, or, hey, have you ever thought about, filming these kind of videos, or have you ever thought about, doing this and not doing that? When I was writing, like being a writer, you have to be very open to people's criticisms, because they will tell you, this doesn't work, this works, this doesn't work, things like that, In my work, when I was, a counselor, when I was working in a treatment facility, I would have to have my supervisor say to me a lot, hey, I know that this is the approach you're taking, but maybe try to look at it this way, right? Or like, why are you doing that? I don't see that as a bad thing, ever. So I don't want anybody to ever feel like they cannot give me constructive criticism. I am completely open to it, okay? I know there are a lot of drama channels that are not open to that, and there are a lot of drama channels that are open to that. I am one of those drama channels that is open to that. I make content on my main channel for you guys to enjoy. That channel is really just a shits and giggles video that I would like somebody maybe to learn something at the end, right? And I kind of changed that about 6 months ago, when I kind of thought, like, if I'm going to do this, like, I want it to be funny, but, like, I also want there to be some kind of Roseanne-ish kind of learning experience at the end. And what I got in the comment section was that people don't really like that. They like just the kind of shits and giggles, I don't give a fuck attitude. And, I appreciate that. Thank you for that. I'm going to have to take a look at that. In all honesty, they were saying, like, why don't I do as much makeup drama and stuff anymore? I get bored of doing it, you guys. I really find it hard to find stories to do on a daily basis that I'm even kind of half interested in sometimes, right? And the thing is that I've seen so many YouTubers that have just walked away from doing YouTube because they get so bored, that I don't want to ever have that be the case. I don't ever want to put out a video that I'm not excited doing. The other day I started making this Tana Mojo video, and I was so bored halfway through. I was like, I am not posting this video. I'm not doing it. And so I just want you to know that was really helpful to me, Marta, and the rest of the people that were talking in there. Don't ever, ever, ever feel like you cannot give me constructive criticism, okay? Whether it's in a DM, in a comment, in a tweet, whatever. I'm totally open to it. What I don't like is when people come to my channel and they say, in a really cruel way, your shit sucks, you're the worst YouTuber ever, blah, 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 whatever. It doesn't really affect me anymore. It did, I'll be honest, it did when I first started YouTube, but like, I don't really have an issue with that anymore, unless it's somebody that I know has watched my content consistently and they have fallen out of love with what they see. Because then I wish they would have come to me and said, I've slowly started seeing you change, but don't just say that. Tell me what you see is changing. And that was what was so helpful tonight when I read the comments, was that you guys let me know what you saw changing. And so then I could look at it and go, oh my God, okay, that makes sense, right? Comments in life, not just on YouTube, but in life, the way that we speak to people, the way that we give constructive criticism, the way that we give people advice or suggestions will be heard depending on how we speak to them. If you say to me, Peter, I don't like your main channel anymore, you've changed, it sucks, I'm probably not real open to that, right? But if you say to me, Peter, I have been a fan of yours for a long time, I really like your content, but your main channel seems to have changed recently, I don't know if it's because of what happened in December, I don't know why you don't have the same attitude anymore, this I don't give a fuck attitude, which that specific piece was, I liked that a lot, but I missed that about you, and I wish you would go back to being that, so then I can go back and I can reference my old videos and I can go, oh, I see what they're talking about, right? So thank you for the criticism. And we aren't gonna grow in life unless we remain teachable. I'm not gonna ever get on video and suggest things to other people that I don't do myself. I want people to remain teachable. I want to remain teachable. I want to continue to grow as a person, as a writer, as a friend, as a husband, as a YouTuber. And I want you guys to be involved in that and enjoy the content the best you can. If I screw up, I'll admit it. If my shit gets boring, I'll change it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not that deep. Like, I want you guys to be happy and I want you to enjoy what you're watching. So, you know, it was so helpful to me because I was like reading the comments and, you know, people were like, a lot of people said they'd like to see me vlog throughout the day. So that's something that I'm gonna really focus on. You know, not tomorrow probably, not the next day, but it's gonna eventually happen in the next month. There was a lot of suggestions in there, and I just think it's so cool that you guys feel so comfortable coming to me and saying it. But don't feel like you gotta apologize 15 times. I'm not mad about it. Honest to God, I'm totally open to that, right? And I think anybody that you meet in life that really wants to grow as a human being will be open to constructive criticism, no matter what area of the world it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't you agree with that? Like, it's not just me. It's not like, you know, it's anybody. So always feel free to come to me and, you know, and if you don't want to leave it in a comment, direct message me about it, you know, and I'll see it that way, you know, or leave it in a comment and I'll see it. So, but I just want to say, I really, really appreciate you guys taking the time to leave comments and thinking things through. You know, there's going to always be things that we disagree on my channels. I have this ongoing discussion whenever I talk about Audible books that people say that Audible audiobooks are not reading, okay? And as I'm speaking this, somebody's typing in a comment, audiobooks are not reading. I don't read for anybody else's satisfaction but my own, period. So if I consider an audiobook reading, it's reading to me. It just isn't that deep, but I respect your opinion. Like, so many people leave me, it's not just, I mean, on BookTube I get it a lot. People are like, audiobooks aren't reading. And then other people are like, audiobooks are definitely reading. Like, if somebody is blind and they can't read a book physically, and, you know, they listen to an audiobook, are you telling me that they don't have the same experience? I do believe that we have the same experience. And because I drive so much and I'm in my car so much, audiobooks are easy for me. And I'll be honest with you, I like being read to, because when I was a little kid, my mom read to me a lot, and so I really learned that way. I can listen to a book and remember more than if I'm sitting down reading it, but I love reading physical books too. Obviously, I have 10,000 of them and I'm constantly reading. So, but you know, that's just, I was just using that as an example that, you know, like, just because you don't believe that audiobooks aren't reading doesn't mean that we can't have a difference of opinion and still get along, you know? Like, that was something that I talked about with my video about Tanya on my Peterisms channel. Tanya and I do not always agree on things, you know? Not at all. We have some very diverse belief systems about things where we just don't meet eye to eye, but that doesn't mean that we don't respect each other and that we don't love to spend time together. you know, and I think that's the coolest thing ever, you know, that we can respect each other and everybody can have, it was interesting as I was talking about like reincarnation on my video the other day, and if you go to that video, there's probably about 5 different belief systems in there, but it never gets ugly, you know, nobody ever gets ugly or nasty about it. It's all very respectful. And I have to say, if I'm proud of one thing with this channel, the thing that I am the proudest of the most, and I didn't have anything to do with this, is the way that you guys conduct yourselves in the comment sections, are respectful of people, and are kind to one another. I wish, I cannot, damn it, I can't pull up my phone. Someone said they were pregnant and expecting a baby in there, and I looked, and there were like 10 comments congratulating them. That is so cool that that happens in a comment section on YouTube, okay? And what that says is that it's a community of people, and that's not about me, okay? I'm just putting the video out there. I'm part of all of that, right? And I love that. And I don't want anybody to ever feel afraid or feel like they cannot leave a comment in my comment sections. I want people to feel like they have a right to their opinion, because once our opinions are taken away, once our voice is taken away, we don't have a lot in this world. And I don't care if I disagree with your opinion or not, you have a right to leave it on my video, period. And unless somebody says something that is so ugly and so malicious, I don't ever delete video comments. And the reason that I do in those situations is because I feel at that moment that they are trigger worthy for other people, that they may trigger something for other people. And that's why I remove the comment, not because I can't handle it. So thank you guys for the comments, and you know, I think it's funny that I'm saying this about a video that I made reading comments on my videos, but I love it. I love the back and forth, you know, it's so cool to me, and it's just, you know, I never would have ever guessed that this channel would turn into that, you know, me driving around in a car, me showing parts of my life, and you guys being along for the ride. And it's like, I love when people share like, oh, we're getting, you know, Storytime Marie said something about like, I can't believe that you remember me. Of course I do, you know, and she said something to the effect of like, I think she's from Chicago, we're getting like 3 inches of snow in Chicago tonight, you know. It's like people say, oh yeah, we get snow in Nebraska, or, you know, like, I mean, I know you guys. I know who you are. I know your faces and I know your names. And I may have never met you, but I feel like I know you. And, you know, and it's no bullshit, because when you live in a world like I live in recovery, where you know people for an hour once a week in a meeting, it's very similar to that. And I feel that I have built relationships with people that I may never meet. And I feel that you guys have given more to me than I will ever be able to give you in return. And I am so thankful for that. I love you guys, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend.